Hello, my name's Piers and I'm the author of The Last Wild and several other books which I'm reading out while the schools are shut during this time. And this is chapter 2 of The Last Wild, and the story so far is that we have Kester Janes, our hero, stuck in a strange school in a country called the Island, set in the future, where a mysterious virus has killed all animals and people have to live on a food replacement called Formula. And the company that makes this food replacement is so powerful it runs all the schools, including this one called Spectrum Hall. And Kester, since his mum died 6 years ago, is unable to speak to people, and he doesn't know why he's in this school. Chapter 2. "Chicken and chips," announces the grey lady behind the hatch, who looks like a big door on legs with hairy arms. "Today's flavour is chicken and chips." Her name is Denise, which doesn't rhyme with arms, so instead the others have made up a song about her hairy knees, which aren't actually that hairy. It doesn't matter what Denise or any of the other women say though. Sausage and mash, ham and eggs, pie and peas. Everything they serve looks exactly the same. Bright pink gloop that spills over the edge of the bowl and only ever tastes of one thing: prawn cocktail crisps. Formulae, they want us to call it, pronouncing the A like in day, but no one does. It's just formula. First the animals we eat went, and then the bees went, and then the crops and fruit went. Vegetables were contaminated. So there were rations, the remaining supplies of fresh food stockpiled in giant deep freezers. Then all that went too. We lived out of tins. Oily, meaty, fishy or veggie mush out of tins. The tins began to run out too. People started eating anything, even varmints, rats, cockroaches. Then one day, I was here by now, they just started serving us formula, and that was it. No more normal food. "It's gone," Denise had said, "and it ain't coming back. That's all you need to know." Instead, we got given a meal replacement that satisfies all your daily nutritional needs, if you like prawn cocktail crisps. "Janes, do you want feeding or a crack on that dumb skull of yours?" Hairy Denise empties a ladle of pink slop into my bowl, and I walk back past the others, already stuffing their faces where they stand. Big Brenda smiles at me as I pass, and I stop. She's all right, Bren. Perhaps because people laugh at her all the time for being fat, she doesn't laugh at other people so much. "All right, Dumbinger," she says, putting away half of her formula dose in a single spoonful. Dumb and ginger. I'm a gift for a nickname, I am. I shrug and stir the formula round in my bowl. Then there's a head full of spiky hair in my face, and Maze is leering up at me. "Hello, Dumbinger, what's the chat?" I avoid his gaze and look down at the pink gloop. "Bit quiet, is it?" he says. "Leave him alone," says Bren, her mouth full of chicken and chips. But he doesn't. "Nah, he's only pretending, aren't you, Dumbinger?" I shake my head, already resigned to what happens next. Maze puts his bowl down and rolls his sleeves up. "Look, Bren, I'll show you. I bet you if I give Dumbinger a dead arm, he'll scream his little head off. Won't you, Dumbinger?" No, I won't. A, because I can't, and B, I'm not in the mood for this today. So holding my bowl close to my chest, like a shield, I press past him and the others. I hear Maze spit with disgust on the ground behind me and laugh. Even though it's the worst thing to do, it's impossible not to. I turn back around. They're all just staring at me. "Freak," says Maze, and flashes his little devil grin. I have to remember that I gave up trying to be like the talkers a long time ago. So, shaking my head, trying to pretend like it doesn't matter, playing the big man, I turn back and take the bowl to go and sit in my corner. My corner isn't really my corner, of course. It's just a part of the yard underneath one of the metal walkways between classrooms, where there's more metal and concrete than glass, where they pile up the empty formula bowls from the kitchen next to a drain. A quiet and dark place, somewhere good to go if you don't want to be bothered by spiky-haired idiots. I put the bowl of fluorescent pink down on the ground and turn one of the bowls over. Factorium is a Selwyn Stone enterprise, it has engraved on the bottom. Whatever. No one's ever seen Selwyn Stone for real. He probably doesn't even exist. It's hard to see people when they're always behind a smoked glass car window or disappearing into a skyscraper surrounded by crowds of photographers and bodyguards. The head of Facto, the man who invented formula, the head of the whole island now, the man who made up all the new rules. Don't touch this, don't eat that, don't live here. Well, right now, I don't care for his stupid rules. And to prove it, I sit right down on top of his stupid name, pick up my bowl and wait. You see, I'm not going to eat it myself. Well, maybe a bit, but it is properly foul. I'm going to give it to someone else. Someone who should be here right about now. And sure enough, there on the edge of the shadows by the drain, I can just see two antennae poking out, curling and tasting the air. Two orangey red antennae belonging to an insect about the length of my thumb. An insect with a flat head, lots of bristly legs, and silently chewing at the front, a pair of jaws. Another varmint. A cockroach. The antennae sniff the air, and checking that no one else is around, he carefully scuttles out into the open, revealing the two large white stripes across his back. I give him a smile. Not that he can smile back, he's a cockroach. But he likes to come and nibble at spoonfuls of formula, so I let him. And he's okay to hang out with. He doesn't thump your leg and say, "How about if I give you a dead leg instead? Will you scream then?" No. He doesn't grab both your arms behind your back while his mate tries to tickle you to death, saying, "What, you can't even laugh then either?" Again, no. And he certainly never, ever jeers or points when you do try as hard as you can to say a word. He just sort of listens. I scoop a bit of formula in my spoon and, checking no one is watching, let it down on the ground by my feet. He scurries over and starts to lap it up. No one knows why the cockroaches didn't catch the red eye. Dad used to say he wasn't surprised they survived. Apparently, even if you dropped a nuclear bomb on everything, they would be the only ones left. That's what happens when you have a scientist for a dad. You don't need school or exams when his lab is in the basement and he lets you watch him work, muttering to himself as he goes. Your head is full of useless facts from the get-go. The red eye wasn't a nuclear bomb, though. It was a disease. A disease worse than a nuclear bomb, if you ask me. Like animal flu, Dad said. A flu that turned animal bodies and brains to mush, and just before they died, made their eyes burn bright red like they were on fire inside. Dad thought it had started in a cattle farm, but no one really knew where it had come from. And before anyone could find out, the virus had spread everywhere. Not just to the animals we eat, but to nearly every living creature, wild animals, pets, animals in zoos. Right around the world it went, till the jungles were full of bodies, birds fell out of the air, and fish floated in silvery slicks on top of the sea. It killed all the animals in the world. All that is, apart from the useless ones. The ones we couldn't eat, the ones that didn't pollinate crops or eat pests. Just the pests themselves. The varmints. Like this smelly cockroach slurping at my spoon of formula. Even though they can't get the virus, you're still not meant to touch them. Because humans can get the virus. That's why Facto declared the whole countryside a quarantine zone and forced everyone to move to the cities, where they can keep them safe. And why we live here under an upside-down glass boat. Just in case. Selwyn Stone says. I don't care. I lean over, put my hand out and let the varmint crawl into my hand. He's a big guy. Perhaps the biggest I've ever seen. Other kids here would freak out, but not me. And I look around at the damp, empty patch of shade I'm sitting in, at the gang on the other side of the yard laughing and joking over their food, and I think perhaps freak is a good choice of word by Mays. Because he's right. That's what I am. I didn't choose it, I didn't ask for it, but that's what I've become, a genuine freak, mute and only varmints for friends. There's a blast of cold from the aircon and I shiver, feeling all of a sudden very alone. The most alone I've felt for a long time, like I'm not even really here in the yard anymore, like I'm just sort of floating about in space, cast adrift in the sky above. It's weird, but I kind of enjoy feeling sad sometimes. I deliberately think of all the sad things that have happened. The animals going, then Mum, and being taken away from Dad, dumped and forgotten about in here. Like it's all been done on purpose just to make my life as rubbish as it could ever be. And there's a kind of warm feeling rising up inside my chest, filling up my eyes because I hate it. I hate everything, including myself, for feeling like this. And I think I'm going to cry when I hear it. A noise. Strong, loud and clear, the strangest noise I've ever heard. Faint and crackly, like an old-fashioned radio in a film. A noise that slowly, definitely turns into a word. Help! That's it. Nothing else. It comes again. Help! There's no one else here. The wardens are inside, probably dozing. Back over by the servery, Big Brenda seems to have Tony in a headlock and is trying to steal his bowl of formula, but they're miles away. And then the voice speaks again, with more words, so faint I can only just make them out. Kirsta! Help! Whoever is speaking has a very deep voice. It's not a kid's voice at all, or even a man's. It rasps and echoes like a rock rattling down a metal pipe. Please, you must help! Almost not human. Then slowly, with a knot in my stomach, I realise whose voice it is. The only possible answer, however impossible it seems, looking straight at me, his little varmint antennae waving. The cockroach. No, I must be making this up. We're not on a cartoon. The cockroach hasn't got massive eyes or a hat, and he isn't singing a song. I definitely don't think he's going to grant me a wish. He's just an insect sitting in my hand. And yet I can hear him. He's trying to speak to me. The cockroach flicks his antennae impatiently before we are both plunged into shadow. The shadow of a warden looming above us, a heavy hand on my collar, hauling me to my feet as the varmint tumbles to the ground and scurries back to the drain. He pauses on the edge, looks at me one last time, and then dives down inside the hole without another word. What was I thinking? Cockroaches can't talk. I can't talk. Nothing has changed. Which is when the warden says the words no kid at Spectrum Hall ever wants to hear. The doctor will see you now. And that's it for this time. See you tomorrow.